Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 31st of January 2025. So what's going on then? So it appears Trump's threatening or talking about putting 25% tariffs on both Canada and Mexico, and has had some adverse effects through the markets if you've been trading some of them. It hasn't affected the likes of the euro too much here at all, but certainly affected the other markets. What did affect the euro here was the GDP data. The advanced GDP data for the US came in lower than expected, and well, we got a blip on that, but wasn't long before we got back to normal. Anyway, in terms of normal trend, let's go and have a look at the euro in detail here. So it's still in a little bit of a slippery slope here to a degree. It's put a lower high in coming through. We've now got a structural change of trend. That was this say intermediate, probably his best description, trend that was running up there is now gone, and now because we've broken it and now really with the lower highs coming through, it's structurally changed here. Let me just pull this down, and we're now in a descending channel, a downward trend. Okay, we'll see how it reacts to the likes of its daily pivot this morning. Might be opportunities there. There was no surprises, I should say, with ECB yesterday either. Right, okay. Move on. That might be partly reason why the euro popped up for a little while. Anyway, couldn't hold on to it. Right, morning. What we got here then? The pound looking a bit less. Oops, gone on to the weekly view there. In fact, the weekly view was quite nice. Let's just go and have a look there. The nice swingy sort of price action last week, and it's on its way. Oh, not quite so soft, but it's still in this short-term downward trend here, but it hasn't broken the lows here. So really, it's broken its trend line that was running up there, but not structurally completely rolled over here on this intermediate time frame. So we could still see the pound pushing up there. It's a little bit in between, and somewhere we're perhaps we'd best leave it alone. It's interesting, yesterday one of the members of the room, Paul, mentioned about a funny feeling about the markets at the moment. They just seem to have changed, and when you look at them technically on this bigger picture, you can sort of see, yeah, they're in that sort of horrible zone where during the day you're not really getting a great deal of movement happening. It's all a bit ugly, and then you're sort of getting the early Asian session moves kicking in. It's a little bit of uncertainty kicking through. Now, US dollar yen, I'm seriously considering closing this at the month end. It's double bottomed again, and bouncing back. We'll see what happens this morning. I'm either going to close it or just really bring the stop down aggressively. My concern is I make no money out of it at all. I don't mind about leaving some risk in it, but I don't particularly want to give. Well, it will have cost me. It's cost me in swaps because I've had it open for a while, and it's not really. Yesterday it looked like it was challenging those prior lows, but challenging them and then having a bounce off that level. Small, but it's still bounced off that level. And do I want to hold into it for another week or two whilst it's doing what it's doing, is the question. It may be that this is it, just close it, take the profit, and look for other opportunities that might be running better. I mean, it's not going to make, at the moment, not going to make much in the way of percentage terms, and I've held it for a long time. So, and it's a lot of I say a lot of risk. It's risk that's been sitting in there. Anyway, Aussie dollar. Had been clear up to yesterday, but finding a bit of a bounce this morning. Oil prices probably helping things a little bit there. And well, bit messy still solidly in a downtrend on the 4-hourly basis here, intermediate time frame, daily time frame still really solidly on that downtrend, and short term really yep, it could start changing a little bit here, but I'd rather be looking at the sell side, so we'll see what happens as we go through this morning. Canadian dollar, funny old one here. Tariffs were obviously mentioned at this later point. I say this later point, I'm pointing to a daily bar, so it's no point saying a later point, but later on in the evening there's 8 o'clock our time. So I think it was 8 o'clock. Yeah, because this is the 6 o'clock candle, it's alright. But it flew up there, but it's just broken through, and all of a sudden the demand seems to have come back in there. Now, as I mentioned, oil prices were affected by all of this. It's something I didn't foresee. Anyway, the Canadian is back to pretty much where it started pre-news, and certainly up for the day at the moment. But very, very iffy trade at the moment, the Canadian pairs, with the risk, the Trump risk. Okay, so New Zealand dollar broadly still in a downward trend here. Intermediate time frame is certainly down. Working our way out of this, we saw it yesterday. This descending channel that was sort of running in there, we're working our way back at the moment towards the upside. So it's something that is working more technically okay at the moment. Higher lows coming through on that 4-hourly time frame, the intermediate time frame, but still very ugly if you're trying to trade it intraday. So it's not for the short-termism trades really. It's more for the longer. Let's buy and hold or swing. Finally, of the majors I'll look at here, the major crosses, euro yen. Euro just picking up a little bit from the double bottom it's done here near term. Bigger picture still looking weak. It could come off like this. It depends on the euro itself is just coming off more than the yen is against the dollar, it seems. Neither of them look particularly strong individually against the dollar, but this has given us a bit of a reaction, and we could see something more of this sort of downward trend that's been kicking through here this morning. So that is quite promising. We'll just have to give it a bit of time, maybe into 9 o'clock before we get an absolute on that. Right, that's the major currencies there. Look, as I say, euro yen probably looking at one of the tidier ones this morning. Let's look aside of that. We've got let's quickly go over to gold. It's fractionally up this morning, and so gold, for those that are non-believers in gold, better start believing, but don't go out buying it right now. Off it's gone again. It's just making new highs here, and consolidation, new highs. It is probably a bit of a safety place. The uncertainty with what Trump does, for those that want something a little bit more stable, maybe, it seems at the moment. It hasn't got the ugly volatility in it. It's moving okay. Yes, it's squared up all through the Asian session there, but it's looking like it's still got more legs in this. Now, if it does this morning come back down towards the pivot and hits the pivot and finds support, it might not be the best trade on the Friday. Maybe worth waiting for Monday on this, because of the amount of chop there, the amount of rejections. If it does actually pull back, then well, it's effectively rejected, and there's a bit of divergence over the highs here, and it'll be a trigger in a divergence move. So just not looking so good to get into it at the moment. We may get, as I say, get better opportunities. Oil, now it's not looking too bad at the moment. I moved the stop down yesterday. I'm going to ease it back down again some more today. As I say, I didn't expect that effect from the the tariff situation. It wasn't something that was programmed in my brain for sure. However, in the bigger scheme of things, it still looks okay. It's still doing the lower highs, lower lows in the bigger scheme. It did bounce yesterday off the quarterly pivot. It came off yesterday, or just air kissed it. Now I think that was the first time of actually hitting it, but it had been through it before, so it wasn't like a first touch, which is more of a draw. It was just a matter of fact is provided a bit of support there for a while. We'll see what happens with this morning, but as I said, I think the original entry was up here, and I just gradually track the stop down. Try not to be too aggressive with that, but at the same time, I don't want to give too much back. As I say, with the if the tariffs are going to have that much effect, I'm scratching my head why the tariffs had such an effect. But there we are. Anyway, right, that's oil. I'll probably read some cleverer will tell me why it's had an effect. 25% on oil prices, where they don't import a lot from either of places nowadays, so it shouldn't make a big difference anyway. Their net exports are actually the US, and one of the biggest producers in the world, if not the biggest now. US dollar S&Ps still managing to work their way back up. As I said, these markets and the Trump effect is still very bullish for them, and we are seeing these continued drivers here, even though the AI situation, the unsettlement caused by DeepSeek cause a problem. Now there'll be all sorts of people out there now probably trying to put down DeepSeek and say no, it's not got the same technology or whatever else, but as I said a couple of days ago in my video, for our use, for example, it seems better. We'll see. Anyway, than ChatGPT, for example. I was looking at different AIs yesterday, but I didn't get enough time to do what I wanted to do. Anyway, S&Ps, as I say, looking bullish there. Let's look at other markets here. Sorry, I must have been looking. Was I looking at the tech instead of the S&Ps? Let's just check. Well, they're both similar anyway. Right, FTSE. Let's get on with the FTSE. FTSE had a decent surge yesterday. Looking like it's finally sort of broken out of this very tight range properly now. Maybe we've got further upside on these markets, but certainly equity markets around the world generally seem to be doing pretty well, he says, apart from those that aren't. And I'm looking at a weekly basis here. That's why I knew something looked a bit weird. There we go. Get back to the dailies here, and the DAX still pushing up. Opportunities on the DAX still sitting there. Didn't come back to the pivot there yesterday. I was wondering whether it'd come back for the pivot for a buy opportunity. Never came there, and it's pushing up again at the moment. So probably too far from what we want. There's a divergence across the highs here, I would imagine, with this retracement in between. So let's have a look. There you go, a bit of divergence both on the RSI and the MACD here. So but that's not a case of selling just because you see a bit of divergence, right? It just means I don't want to buy. Right, I'll leave you there. I wish you a great weekend, and I'll catch you on Monday. Bye for now.